Thank you for tuning in. You're watching The Property Guide on ET Now. This show, we aim to give you all of the information you need to buy a home or invest in real estate in India. Now remember, if you have any feedback or questions about buying a home, write to us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen, and you can reach me personally on Twitter as well. On the show this week, we'll talk about Chennai, how the recent political developments are influencing its realty market. We'll also take a look at Parvati, and we'll find out if it is quickly becoming an alternative investment for those of us in the NCR. And we'll answer questions you sent in on Pune, Bangalore and Mumbai. Joining us in the studios today, Ramesh, Nair, COO and International Director at JLL India. Arvind, Nandan is an independent analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in. I'm going to give a quick brief to those of our viewers who need to be updated. We know that after Chief of AIADMK Jayalalitha stepped down from office in Chennai following the conviction in the 66 crore rupee disproportionate assets case, the state has a new Chief Minister. We're going to try and find out what this means for the city of Chennai in terms of ease of doing business, in terms of political climate, and of course, indirectly, what sort of impact that will have on its property market. But before we start that discussion, as always, I'm going to bring in Arvind, who's my colleague, who will give us an update on how prices have moved in Chennai over the last 2 years and where they stand right now. Arvind.
Thanks, Faye. The previously booming Chennai market has experienced a slowdown in the real estate sector over the last year, and the current political instability isn't helping either. The prices here have remained stagnant in most of the key neighborhoods. Anna Nagar, which is considered one of the prime residential areas in Chennai, saw the prices fall by a staggering 14% compared to 2013. Now, the homes here are priced in the range of 7,300 to 9,250 rupees a square foot. OMR, or Old Mahabalipuram Road, is the IT corridor of Chennai. The stretch, which is still in the making, saw a mere 1% increase in prices. The prices here now stand between 3,650 to 4,700 rupees per square foot, barely moving the needle from 2013. Sri Perumbudur has seen a rapid industrialization for more than a decade now. The city, which is located in the southwest of Chennai, saw a similar price increase too. The prices stand at 2,850 to 3,600 rupees per square foot, which is just a 3% increase from where it stood in 2013. Pallavaram, which is known for its cantonment and the bustling residential colonies, is located in the suburbs of Chennai. The area saw a price increase of 7% compared to where it stood in 2012, and now the prices here range between 4,450 to 5,250 rupees per square foot. With that, it's back to you, Faye.
All right, Arvind, thank you for that update. Let's start with first the change, Ramesh, in the fact that it is politically volatile at this point. In terms of ease of doing business and what you're hearing on the ground from your clients about Chennai, is there a nervousness about the city at this point, about doing business at this point in Chennai?
See, the role of any government is to equip, enable and enforce and to facilitate development. So what the government should be focusing on is making the city and the state attractive for investments, create infrastructure, give financial SOPs and benefits for companies to come and invest in. The biggest complaint we hear from our developer clients is approvals take forever in Chennai. So typically a 5,000 rupee home with a 1-year delay, everyone knows that today cost of capital is 20% for every developer. So a 5,000 rupee product automatically becomes 6,000 rupee because of a 1-year delay in approvals. On top of that, there are close to 15% which goes in state level taxes, so stamp duty, sales tax, VAT, all these components. So you're talking of 35% increase in a residential home price just under the control of the state government. So if the state government could take some proactive steps, home prices would drop nearly 35% in the city.
There are also some other problems at this point, and that's possibly local problems where we've heard that occupational certificates have not been handed out as quickly as we would like them to. Registrations have really slowed down in the city over the last year or so. Tell us what's going on that front.
There was a building collapse which happened in this place called Muglivakam in Chennai in June, July. Post that, the state government has stopped giving all planning permits and occupancy certificates out there. It's called completion certificates. Thanks to that, the industry has come to a standstill. today if the industry has to revive, the government has to give these approvals so that these projects come on board, developers get cash flows going in so that they can launch new projects, complete existing projects. So that's the reason why the market has gone on a standstill. If you look at the overall new launches, from the beginning of this year to now, new launches are down close to 50% in the city. And sales is down nearly 17% in Chennai. And we are talking of an unsold inventory at being the highest at close to 35 months. Now, that has to be fixed for the market to get revived.
Lots of concerns there. Arvind, tell me this, if we compare right now Chennai to the neighbours, there's Bangalore, there's Hyderabad, and now there's a strong contender in Vijayawada and Vizag as well, because there's a very, very keen chief minister pushing his state. Does Chennai run the risk of losing out at this point to the competitors?
You know, that's interesting. I think Chennai has always had that situation. In the last 10 years, 12 years, Chennai has always had the risk of facing another growing proposition. So Chennai grew first of all, actually, even on the IT and the retail fronts. But then Hyderabad came up very strongly, and Chennai always had a competition from Hyderabad. This was, late 90s, early 2000s. And today the same situation is actually getting revived. But if you look at this in combination with the political situation which Ramesh was speaking of, Chennai, and the states are not comparable, but Chennai today is somewhat in a position that Bihar is, or Bihar was 6 months back. Okay. So, a new chief minister who was actually not known, and who was actually not known to execute things. Unfortunately, Chennai,
technically, Paneerselvam is not a new chief minister. He has been chief minister once in the past.
Of course,
and it's fair to assume that a lot of things will just continue as it were, because he's not the man who will
I would actually wish that happens.
Okay.
But however, today the mood in Tamil Nadu, not just Chennai, is that after Ms. Jayalalitha's release, people have just been sort of waiting for something else to happen, And that's somehow not looking like happening, at least in the next 1 year or so. The problem is the situation has today reached a position, a state where everything is stagnant. People do not know which side will blink first or where the action will start first. So put all this together and then come to the commercial situation which Ramesh spoke of. Occupancy is down, vacancy is rising at all times, 25 or 25% plus. You have a situation where either infrastructure push or financial push has to come from somewhere. And like you're saying, there is a competing Vijayawada, there's a competing Hyderabad, which are looking like reviving themselves. So if you put all these things in the equation, I don't think Chennai is looking poised to suddenly, break the shackles and start moving. It's looking pretty much shackled at this point.
Do you agree? You had a point to make.
In terms of manufacturing today, Chennai faces competition from Pune and from Gujarat. In terms of IT services, again, Chennai faces tough competition from Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Pune. So what the government needs to realize is it cannot be resting on its laurel. Today, with all these Make in India campaign, I think Chennai is really well poised. If it can market itself well, if it can brand itself well to the foreign companies outside the country. Okay,
so as things stand right now, I want advice for two sets of people. One, if I'm actually a local in Chennai who's looking to buy a home, or I'm from Chennai and I live somewhere else right now, but I'm looking to buy a home in Chennai. Does this mean with that much unsold inventory, with, prices coming down, with the builders under that much pressure, I'll be able to get a good deal? Secondly, if I'm an investor, should I be steering clear of Chennai entirely and maybe looking at the other options we talked about? And I want answers from both of you. But Ramesh, let's start with you. What should the end user do?
Chennai is one of the few markets where we haven't seen much of price increase in the last 2 years. The reason for that is there was massive price increases between 2010 and 2012. So apartments in Nadu, which is a very happening spot within OMR, were close to 50 lakhs in 2010. Suddenly shot up to 85, 90 lakhs. So what's become is it became unaffordable. Salaries didn't grow at that level. So the main reason today what we are talking is not the political instability which has impacted residential prices. It's the market which became unaffordable, thanks to which it has become stagnant. I think overall it's definitely a good time to go buy because the prices have been quite stagnant over the last 2 years. And with this positive momentum coming back into the economy, I think going forward it'll only go up.
What is the room for negotiation right now in Chennai? If I were to sit down with a checkbook in front of a builder, how far could I drive the price down?
I think most builders today are willing to give a 5 to 7% discount. But again, it depends on whether you're talking luxury and affordable. If you're talking at the affordable range, which is the 3 to 5,000, there's hardly any gap to play around with in case of decreasing the prices. So I think somebody looking at luxury should go bargain and get a 5 to 7% discount.
All right. Arvind, give us advice for investors at this point. Should we be looking at Bangalore instead, or a Hyderabad or a Vijayawada?
Not necessarily. In fact, I would see this as a great opportunity, although you have to keep your horizon clear. If your horizon is just 1 year or so, then probably it's not the ideal place to invest. But if you are an investor who's willing to invest and then wait for 5 years, I think this is one of the good times in Chennai. And I would actually cherry pick some of the locations. So Pallavaram Thorai Pakkam Road, to me, is my choice number 1. In fact, Chennai has an inverted funnel kind of a geology or a geography. So you have OMR on the right side, you have GST Road on the left side, southwest. You have 2 connecting roads in between. And that quadrilateral to me is extremely important in Chennai.
Ramesh, I have 2 questions for you very quickly. One is, obviously, if I'm an investor with a 5-year horizon, do you agree with the recommendations on locations, or is there something you'd like to add? Secondly, obviously, with the kind of problems we're having with delays, with occupational certificates, if I'm getting in as an investor right now based on this advice, how do I make sure that I pick a project that will not get, stalled in red tape or in the lack of permissions and things?
In terms of locations, I would advise ECR, OMR and Thorai-Pakkam Pallavaram Road. In terms of what stage one should invest in as an investor, I would suggest that you look at a project which is already got approvals, where constructions are happening and it's somewhere midway through. So that's when I would recommend somebody to look at a project.
Would you recommend a local developer who knows the market well, or one of the national developers who started building in Chennai at this point?
I would recommend developers who are local, or developers who are from South India who have done well within Chennai.
All right, that's interesting advice, because normally we focus on the national developers, but in a market like Chennai, it's important to remember to pick someone who knows that market and who knows how to get his permissions done fairly quickly. Okay, before we go into break, I'm going to leave you with a list of interesting projects that are under construction in the markets that were just named by both of our experts. Take a look.
So if you are looking to invest in Chennai, here are a few options. Doshi Oriana from Doshi Housing, Marrakesh from South India Shelters, Springfield from Naveen Housing and Properties, Ashiara from Male's Construction, Oxygen from Urban Tree Infrastructures, Southern Avenue by VGN Homes, Bolineni Hillside Phase 2 from BSCPL Infrastructure, and Olympia Opaline Phase 2 from PropLeaf.
Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide in ET now. Thank you for staying with us. We're trying to find as many interesting real estate investment ideas as we can for you. Our guests are still with us in the studio. This week, we're taking a look at Bhiwadi. What was a sleepy little town in Rajasthan is changing rapidly now. Just to bring it to your attention, it's a hub on the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor on NH8. It may have metro connectivity, a possible bullet train, and it's received a lot of interest from the manufacturing industry as a possible hub. Does it make sense for you to invest in Bhiwadi? Given the options that we have in the NCR right now and around the NCR, Bhiwadi has been popping up a lot in news. It's being written about, it's being talked about. Is that enough reason for us to consider it as an investment option?
I think you've captured the advantages quite well. It's part of the DMIC corridor, part of NCR. Not very far off from the Rajasthan border. What we believe this corridor is going to be, basically the Bhiwadi and Neemrana belt, is it's going to emerge as an industrial corridor. And we don't see too much of residential, commercial, retail activity happening there. So we believe, again, good investments by Honda, by Hero, by Maruti, setting up large
Saint-Gobain apparently.
Saint-Gobain, a lot of Japanese companies, Nippon, Nissan, all of them have, again, invested in that belt. So we believe there's a lot of land banking today happening. A lot of developers are coming in, picking up 100, 200, 500, 700 acres. I personally don't believe there'll be enough demand for residential, commercial, retail, and that's at least a 5 to 10 year play. Industrial, great location. Other asset classes, definitely wait and watch.
All right. So I want to very quickly, before I come to Arvind with a slightly harder question, I want to very quickly ask you this. Right now, the ticket size to buy an apartment or a home in Bhiwadi is 25-30 lakh rupees. If I'm looking for an investment of that ticket size, what would you recommend I look at instead?
I would recommend being closer to Gurgaon or closer to Noida on the other side. I wouldn't kind of venture out into areas.
Where in Gurgaon, Noida would I be able to afford something for 30 lakh rupees?
You wouldn't, but I think you should move more towards the peripheries of those markets.
All right. Arvind, here's a tougher question. Now, for those of our viewers who want to take that kind of risk, who maybe are looking at picking up land or picking up land with a slightly longer term horizon, they're willing to take that risk. What advice would you give someone who's looking at Bhiwadi slightly more seriously?
Bhiwadi is a slightly complex thing. You know, it just woke up to reality about 5-6 years ago. It was pretty much a sleepy place, like you said. And after the industrial setups started happening, particularly in the auto ancillary sector, Bhiwadi started gaining some momentum. People who made investments there 5 years ago, you know, say about 33 lakhs for an apartment, are unfortunately sitting on the same price today, or maybe a bit of, you know, a lakh of rupees here or there kind of an increment. However, people who have invested in plots, they've still made about 30 to 35% gain on the investment. So that tells us something. If you connect back to the land and you know, the demand dynamics, it's more or less true, but not in all cases. It probably behaves differently in different micro markets. So in Bhiwadi, what has happened is because people took position in plots, thinking that eventually somebody will either amalgamate them, or they themselves will be able to sell it off at a later point in time, they've had some kind of an increment. Going forward from here, I do not see any substantial increment in the apartment part of the real estate. So it's better to stay away from that unless you want to go and live there, for which you have to have a very good reason. If you just want to invest and make some money, still go and invest in a plot, but not a very huge plot.
All right, so here are the things we've learned. Real estate is a rich man's game. So if you're getting in with a small ticket size, you'd probably be better off waiting for REITs, which will give you a stronger opportunity to invest in real estate, or look at other asset classes. But right now, don't focus on areas that are purely manufacturing driven. Focus on areas that are more IT, BPO driven. And of course, the NCR and the peripheries of the NCR make better options than Bhiwadi at this point. Let's take a few questions. This one's about Pune. Dayanand has written in, he wants to buy a flat with a budget of 25 lakh rupees. He says, please guide me on whether I should look at the outskirts of Pune or I should look at Nagpur. Which one would give me better returns? We talked about Nagpur a couple of weeks ago because Devendra Fadnavis is from Nagpur, because he has roots there and he's been part of the whole call for a separate state of Vidarbha. So even if the state doesn't happen, he will make sure that Nagpur remains well fed in terms of development over the next few years. So if you were to compare, obviously Pune doing so much better, if you were to compare Pune and Nagpur at this point, which one would you choose as an investment?
The answer is very simple. It's definitely Pune. What we have been seeing over the last 5-6 years is all this hype around tier 3 cities have definitely gone down. Main reason is a lot of senior level talent don't want to move to tier 3 cities because their wives are going for jobs, their children are going to schools, they don't want to move. Second is even junior level talent don't want to be working in tier 3 cities. Even if they are passing out from tier 3 cities, they want to go to a bigger city and work. So a person from Coimbatore ideally wants to come and work.
I'm going to pause. Is it fair to call Nagpur tier 3?
Yes, I would call Nagpur tier 3.
Right.
And a Pune a tier 2, along with Hyderabad and Chennai.
Could I add another dimension to that?
I have another question also for you. At 25 lakh rupees, outskirts of Pune, where could he go in your Maple Leaf and find space?
That's the dimension that I wanted to speak about. There are two things which are critical in this question. One is the ticket size. The other one is looking for good returns, which means in all probability, Mr. Dayanand is an investor who is going to make an investment and wait for returns to come. If you look at Pune, we can go back to our discussions. Pune, to me, has only one corridor which can probably give him something in this range, and that's the southern corridor of Pune, along the NIBM road. He'll be lucky if he found something which is ready at 20-25 lakhs today. So he'll have to either invest in something which is getting constructed, so he'll have to endure and take the risks of that, and then wait for the project to be handed over. On the other hand, Nagpur, particularly in Manish Nagar and in the areas around the airport, he will still find something which is getting constructed or already constructed, ready to be delivered, and certain pockets in Nagpur, like Manish Nagar I mentioned, are actually doing fairly okay.
My concern with Nagpur is that it's a business hub because of its location, it doesn't really attract talent like we
There's
talked
a-
about. But you had a point to
sorry.
make about what I
Yeah,
just
at 25 to 30 lakhs out in the outskirts of Pune, one can look at Talegaon, Ranjangaon, and Khed. These are the three locations you would get anywhere between 25 to 30
And
lakhs.
what sort of builders would we get in that?
There are some prominent builders, but mostly tier 2 developers are doing stuff in these three locations.
All right, so it's a toss-up, but I guess not really agreeing completely on which is the better option. Pune being the sure shot, Nagpur if you're willing to take a little bit of risk and willing to wait longer for those returns. Prakash Gangadhar Shetty has written in. He's looking to buy a 2-bedroom flat with a budget of 29 to 30 lakh rupees near Panvel. He shortlisted a project called Malaga, which is in its pre-launch stages. It's about 20 kilometers from Panvel station. He tells us he wants to know, is it worth investing here in this project or is there a better option? You want to take this?
Panvel, today the going rates are anywhere between 4,000 to 6,000 rupees. The current unsold inventory in the market is close to 41 months. So if it invested 100 rupees in Panvel back in 2009 when the markets were down, you would have been at 190 today. And if you had invested in 2008 third quarter when it was at the peak, you would be at around 150. I think he'll have to reduce his size. Panvel is definitely a good bet given that the Sivri Navasheva Sea Link will happen, given that the airport will happen in Panvel. So in the long term, it's definitely a good bet. You can get small 1-bedrooms for 30 lakhs.
All right, so look at a 1-bedroom within that budget. Ashok has also written in. He wants to buy a 3-bedroom flat in Noida Extension with a budget of 55 to 60 lakh rupees. He shortlisted Supertech Albaria and in the Super Eco Village 1. And since it's a fully furnished flat, it's a luxury tower. Is this the right decision? Should I look at other options? Arvind?
It could be a right decision, depending on what you want to do with that. Let me first talk about the location. It's a good location. Supertech project is also pretty okay. I think there was some issue for land in that particular area, but I don't think that stands anymore. However, remember one thing. If you're an investor, then you're probably not going to the right location. You have to stick with Noida, or if you want to go a little north, you can probably go to Ghaziabad, because that's where you'll get appreciation, that's where you'll get returns. But if you are somebody who's wanting to go and live there, then probably it's okay. Go and do that.
All right, so go ahead if you're an end user, but if you're an investor, then you might want to rethink that decision. Deep has written in, he wants to buy a 2-bedroom flat in the south of Bangalore near ISKCON Temple with a budget of 35 lakh rupees. That seems to be the dream budget of the show today. Give me some good projects. South Bangalore, Ramesh?
South Bangalore, 2 locations, Kanakpura Road and Hosur Road. Kanakpura Road anywhere between 4 to 6,000 and Hosur Road between 3,000 to 6,000. Number of leading builders like Prestige, Shobha, all of them have projects there.
But not necessarily in that ticket size of 35 lakh rupees.
Not in that ticket size, but there are enough. If you can kind of reduce your size, you can definitely get an apartment there. This year has not been a great year for the Bangalore residential market. Sales is down close to 8%. New launches again down by close to 25%, and unsold inventory up to 29 months, which is again quite high.
All right. Chandrakant Prabhu has written in, he wants to buy a home in Pune, either near Kalyani Nagar or Viman Nagar area. He has a budget of 65 lakh rupees. Please give me some good projects. There are a lot of very interesting projects being built in Viman Nagar right now. It's really become the hub for new construction. And Pune has become the hub for new interesting architecture as well. Anything within that budget?
Very difficult.
Very difficult. 8 to 16,000 is the going rate in that location. Viman Nagar again 8 to 12,000. With his budget of 65, he can stretch by around 10 lakhs to around 75. Then Karadi and Waguli would be better locations to look at.
If he can't stretch it, then where would you rather have him look for space?
There's a different kind of a solution then. Of course, 7 to 8,000 rupees a square foot in Viman Nagar, Kalyani Nagar, 10 to 12,000 rupees a square foot, you'll practically not get anything. But there are certain resale, and those are standalone sales. You have to really go and look at the whole market with a microscopic lens. There are enough second sales happening. You will have to go and individually speak to these. You will have to be very well advised by somebody who is an expert in that market, because second sales are always more trickier than a developer sale. But for 65 lakhs, new projects, even if they are just off the ground, I would think extremely difficult in those two markets.
All right, so Pune has run up quite a lot in the last couple of years. So it would make sense for you to tap into the local broker circle and find out if there's anything that you can buy in the second sale market. Unfortunately, we've completely run out of time. Both Ramesh and Arvind, thank you so much for spending time with us and answering our questions. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, email ID is at the bottom of your screen. You can reach me on Twitter as well. Thank you for watching.